Xbox and the next generation is here, everybody. What is going on? It's your boy Neo Starling, and I am back here with some breaking news. We did indeed hear this earlier. That's the president of Xbox, Sarah Bonds, made an announcement. It was this like obscure little YouTube video, it was sort of like a minute long, basically indicating that Microsoft is now going to be partnering with AMD in order to basically essentially announce like the next generation of Xbox. So that means them not locking themselves down to like a specific store. They're basically going to be developing for everything, you know, whether it be the Microsoft store or Steam, things of that nature. That's sort of the wave of the future. That's sort of what I'm noticing is happening here. And I just wanted to take an opportunity to cover this. So we're going to play some of this video and then we're going to go from there basically. So let's hit play on this bad boy.
At Xbox, our vision is for you to play the games you want with the people you want, anywhere you want. That's why we're investing in our next generation hardware lineup across console, handheld, PC, cloud, and accessories. I am thrilled to share we've established a strategic multi-year partnership with AMD to co-engineer silicon.
So this is actually really interesting here. First and foremost, I'm not going to play the whole video straight out because if I do, I don't want to run the risk of getting a copyright strike. So this is really cool. I've been saying this for years, man, and nobody believed me, but I was saying for the longest that if you have a PC, you pretty much don't really need an Xbox because realistically, that's sort of the wave of the future. Anything Xbox, if you think about Xbox, you got to think about Microsoft in that same manner. And that's essentially what they've been doing. So here, what they're rolling out is a partnership with AMD, not only to, you know, create like a more powerful console, but also to spread it across other handheld devices. Now, if you haven't been living under a rock for the last couple of years, there are already quote unquote like handheld devices that essentially play all the same games that you can play on a Steam Deck or that you'd be able to play on your PC. You know, you could even modify it to play like Nintendo Switch games or whatever emulators you want to put on them. This is sort of the wave, you know, it's becoming a more handheld thing to do. So whether Xbox comes out with their own like personal console that has the Xbox name on it, regardless of the fact, it doesn't change the fact that we already are kind of living in that time. It's just becoming more prominent now.
Across a portfolio of devices, including our next generation Xbox consoles, in your living room and in your hands. Together with AMD, we are advancing the state of art in gaming silicon, deliver the next generation of graphics innovation to unlock a deeper level of visual quality and immersive gameplay and player experiences enhanced with the power of AI, all while maintaining compatibility with your existing library of Xbox games.
See, now that's pretty cool. Just having that compatibility factor. This is something that we've always wanted, you know what I mean? Because Xbox actually has a rich history, a rich library of games that I think anybody would definitely want to have in the palm of their hands, you know? This is why it's really exciting to come out with something that is not only handheld, but that you could also just play stationary if you want, sort of how the Switch has a dock where you can connect it to like any monitor or television and play. You're kind of going to be able to do the same thing here. They're utilizing the power of AMD, which is really important because when you're creating a handheld console, remember Xbox has quite a bit of power behind it when it comes to graphical capability, and you certainly want to make sure that you put yourself in a situation where the games are going to play properly, because if they don't, then that could be really tragic for them. So I think it's really interesting that they're getting together and they're saying, hey, you know what? Forget about the Microsoft Store, forget about just Steam, forget about Game Pass. We're going to lump this all together, and you're going to be able to play this no matter what console you are on, handheld-wise, that is created by Microsoft. So pretty dope. It's essentially like having a Nintendo Switch once more in the palm of your hand, just walking around and being able to play these games at high fidelity, at high quality. I think it's really exciting. It's really important that we're getting to that point.
This is all about building you a gaming platform that's always with you, so you can play the games you want across devices anywhere you want, delivering you an Xbox experience not locked to a single store or tied to one device. That's why we're working closely with the Windows team to ensure that Windows is the #1 platform for gaming. The next generation of Xbox is coming to life, and this is just the beginning. We can't wait to show you what's next.
I think it's funny because they've already sort of been doing this for a while. Like I said, once more, if you have like a Steam Deck, if you are a PC gamer by any stretch of the imagination, you kind of are already in this state, except that up until now, you've been limited by either a Steam Deck or limited by the power of the current handheld devices that are available to you. But once more, partnering with AMD and creating the silicon where you're just grabbing everything and putting it together and making it really powerful, you know, you're throwing some AI in there in the mix. I think it's really exciting, to be perfectly honest with you. And one thing that I also think a lot of people don't, okay, I'll tell you one concern I have. My concern is with the cloud. Okay, so I've played video games on the cloud that I don't really consider to be that powerful by any stretch of the imagination. If you don't have a very strong internet connection, you have to be connected wired. If you're doing wireless, you're going to get a bunch of choppy games. They're going to be bouncing around all over the place, which is why I'm hoping that when they do build these new handheld consoles, and I say consoles because it's plural, there's going to be multiple of them that are going to be affiliated and have this AMD technology within it. I'm hoping that when it comes to cloud gaming, we're going to be able to play it at a higher resolution and frame rate, and it doesn't just break apart constantly. Because I remember not long ago trying to play Enslaved on the cloud, and let me tell you something, it was a horrible experience. And mind you, this game came out back in the old school Xbox 360 / PS3 era, so for them to, you know, put everything on the line like this, because this is going to be wireless essentially. If you're going to be able to play anywhere, you know, you're not going to connect your handheld console to like a Ethernet cable. You know what I'm saying? You're just not going to do that. So hopefully, you know, we get this and it's done at a high level. It's done at a competent level, and most importantly, the price. This is what we're gonna really be focusing on here, because these consoles, their current handheld ones, are not cheap. They're easily $500+. Maybe if you're lucky to get like an open box item, you know, you can get them at a cheaper deal if you know how to negotiate properly. But realistically, with the tech that's going to be in it, you're going to be seeing this priced at a pretty penny. But in any case, let me know what y'all think. I think it's pretty exciting news. I think it's cool that, you know, it's pretty progressive of Microsoft if you really think about it. They're like, you know what? We're not going to limit you to this console or this bulky PC anymore. We're going to let you play anywhere. You know, we're going to inevitably integrate Steam the same way the Game Pass is integrated with EA. And what's the other one? Blizzard Entertainment. They're already integrated with those. So if you have those games on those platforms, you can already play them on Game Pass. You know what I mean? I actually do that myself. So that's pretty cool. But with that said, let me know what y'all think. Tell me if you think this is a great idea. Tell me if you're going to wait for a price drop when it inevitably releases, because it is going to be expensive. And most importantly, I just want to hear your personal thoughts on how you feel about this as a whole and how this is going to affect gaming going forward. With that said, you are all awesome, and don't ever let anyone tell you different. Signing off.